just now. Rahul, Zomato earlier this week, Gland Pharma today. Which is the next big one which could be called as a turnaround story now?
Good afternoon. A good question, Nikunj. I think, as you rightly pointed out, Zomato, I think the stock had done quite well in last couple of months. And if we see last quarter's numbers and this quarter numbers, good turnaround. Similarly, I think if you look at it in terms of percentage gainers from last quarter numbers in this quarter, I think Gland is almost doubled. If you look at it, I think 850 or 860 was the low post last quarter's numbers when there was a very weak quarter, and I think there was a complete sell-off in the markets. So I think same has been seen in the stock doing quite well. So I think which will be the next, I think, which will come to know once, once the stock has done well. But the way the markets are, I think the market is just taking a breather right now. So I think still there could be a lot of value if you talk about it. Then I think still a lot of names like I think in a banking space, I think it's in a PSU space, definitely I think have taken a breather post numbers. So I think this could still for the next year and a half, there could be a rally in the PSU banks. Now, if you look at it vis-a-vis the longer term valuation in a 10-year average, if you look at it in the most of the PSU banks, which trade at 0.8 times price to book. Now, I think most of them are trading 1.1, varying each to banks to banks. So I think the numbers were good. Margin expansion, loan credit growth, everything I think looks all right. So my sense is I think PSU banks should continue to do well, and especially in the second round space, I think should do well.
You want to specify within the PSU banking basket, as you pointed out, because today as well, that index is the top leader and by a good margin because that index is up 2.8%. Indian Bank is soaring around 9%. Bank of Maharashtra, Union Bank, Bank of Baroda, they're all firing away. Any favorites that you want to talk about from the second order rung that you pointed out?
I think if we talk about the stock like Canada, which reported a stronger number, so I think that should do well. And if you look at it pre-COVID and post-COVID, then stock has done nothing. If I look at it, but from the COVID's lows, and if I talk about it, then the stock is already done, two and a half, three times. If I look at it from there, so I think. In that space, I think like Canara Bank looks one of the preferred bets. Second, followed by Bank of Baroda. I think decent set of earnings in the Bank of Baroda as well. So I think these two in the large names post SBI, I think these two should do well. And thirdly, I think if we look at it, Jammu and Kashmir Bank, the stock has done also has been doubler in last year and a half. If you look at it, similar to the most of the PSU names, but I think this bank also with a smaller reach in terms of where the stock has been and where the management's commentary has been in this last quarter number. So I feel JK Bank also looks very promising in the small banks amongst the PSU bank.
J&K Bank 70, it's not one of those stocks which you track frankly on a daily basis, but yeah, it's a turnaround which clearly is making. Rahul, it's, a lot of old timers would say, we like banks, but we like big banks. We like big banks because they have CASA, they have branch, they have technology, they have clients, and they are gaining market share. Small banks is more like renting these stocks. Big bank is like marrying those stocks. Which way would you lean?
See, it is depending upon the investor's profile to profile. So if you are a large cap holder, and if you think you are happy with 12-15% compounding kind of a story, then yes, large banks, as you rightly pointed out, and are not willing to take a risk, then I think yes, like banks like HDFC Bank, just stay set together and sleep over it. So that could be one of the the thought process. Secondly, if you are willing to take a risk and if you think that the returns could be compounded better in terms of the growth, if we see, then I think that would be a banks like a smaller banks, like I mentioned, like Jammu Kashmir or something, which can give a good return if the things goes well.